I'm Thank you, Ramacharaka. The pain, the pain, the pain. All right, look. You see my hand here? Look. Can you tell? See this knuckle? Yeah, now you can see that knuckle. Sticks way out. That's arthritis. That's a big mother. It hurts. And it causes what they call trigger finger. Well, in this case, it's causing that. You see how my finger clicks into place there and then stays there, and then I have to force it open? Here's another one with, that one really has trigger finger. Oh my goodness, I can't even get it bent now. And it hurts. Whoa, I can't do it. If it were to click all the way down like that, it would like suddenly snap into place. Oh, like that one does. There's no in between. It's one or the other. This one's even worse with that, but it's not arthritic. It's a different thing. Anyway, pain. Have you heard of feral children? It's like a feral cat, a domestic cat that's wild. There are feral children too, children that, for one reason or another, were probably what makes a child feral is that it was abandoned right after it was born, like taken out in the woods and left there to die, but it didn't die. It survived. Perhaps raised by wolves. Feral children have been found, captured. One in particular, I forget when, sometime during the last 100 years. This is a documented case. A feral child was found, I think probably about the age of somewhere from 7 to 10 years old, from what could be best determined about this child's age. This child, of course, displayed some unusual cognitive and social characteristics. One of these characteristics, an interesting one, was its response to noises, sounds. You could fire a gun, sneak up behind this child, and fire a gun beside its ear, and it wouldn't flinch. Like, no response, like it was deaf. Leave you thinking the child is deaf. Stone deaf. But then, at a distance of maybe 20 feet away, behind the child, crack open a walnut, and it would jump alert and rush right over. Because it's food. Another interesting characteristic was that you could drop some food into a pot of boiling water, and the child would reach right down into the water, pull out the food, and eat it, showing no sign of pain at all. So, pain. Is our response to pain in the form of, ouch, that hurts, a conditioned response? More than likely. So let's bear that in mind whenever we get all caught up in how much pain hurts. Perhaps we can, even just a little, get our minds wrapped around the idea that pain is a sensation that can be an indicator of something we should do or be careful about, so that we don't get injured, further physical injury, or get physically injured in the first place. But other than that, It's just a sensation. It has a particular feeling about it. And for goodness sakes, you know, the opposite end of the spectrum with regard to these sensations is pleasure. And at some point, pleasure can turn into pain. And on the other end of this scale, pain can be sometimes pleasurable, such that on a straight line, the poles of which are pain over here and pleasure over here, these two actually, maybe it's not a straight line, maybe it wraps around and the two connect, the two ends connect. Look at that finger. I can't, oh, there it bent. Ooh, now it's snapped closed. I have to, oh, force it back open. There it went. Like a trigger. I felt that sensation. It was interesting. It does not indicate something that I need to be careful of. There's no further injury happening. You know, I know that. So I don't have to, pay much attention to that. I can experience it as a sensation. My tendency is to think, oh, that really hurts. But I don't have to think like that. I've been conditioned to think like that. But I can take it to just be a sensation. Now, I got bodily struck by a tractor trailer 3 years ago. Maybe a little more than 3 years ago now. Bodily struck by the front of a tractor trailer, dead center, front of the tractor trailer. Bodily struck. Hit me in the right shoulder. Came at me from the side. Hit my body pretty hard. Hard enough to throw me about 30 feet in front of the truck, where I landed face down in the middle of a highway. Leapt out of the way of the oncoming truck. And had a lot of bodily injury. It hurt. It hurt for some months. Pretty bad. And I had to focus. Oh, I could have become severely depressed. I could have remained unable to use the upper right side of my body. I could have become absorbed in the sensation of the hurt of physical pain. I had to, if I was going to heal healthily, successfully, and be able to do things like this again in life, I had to regard that pain as just a sensation because it was unbearable. For one thing, 8 ribs broke. And 2 of them were one rib broken in 2 places, like an inch apart from each other. 2 ribs were like that. So 6 ribs broke, but 2 of them broke in 2 places each. And one of them, the piece of rib that, here was a break and here was a break. So I had a piece of rib that would get dislodged. And then I'd have to intentionally stretch in a certain way to get it snapped back into the right place, hoping that when it finally got healed enough so that it would not move again, it would be in the right position at that final moment where, it was going to stay put. Well, this all involved a very interesting sensation. I had to get my mind trained to stay away from the hurt by focusing on simply the idea of novel sensation. On a par with any other sensation. Just a sensation. Sending me a message. The message in this case was that, there was physical injury. That's all. Well, I knew that. So I didn't really have to pay attention to the message. All I needed to do was be aware that there's a sensation and focus on what I'm doing. So, how to deal with physical pain in life? Notice them as sensations and focus on what you're doing. Unless there's some important message that the sensation has for you, like you need to be careful, in which case, be careful. But do we have to get caught up in the hurt of it? Nah. It's not necessary. It's not required. We've been taught to do that. But, hey, we can reteach ourselves a new way. I'm Thuranki Ramatraka, and be well.